Could you grab a seat if you haven't got one already? We'll get started. My name's Bill Harvey. I'm one of your aldermen on the Hobart City Council, and I'll be chairing tonight's meeting. Can I begin by asking everyone to turn off their mobile phones, please? And can I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, Nuanina people, who lived here for thousands of years. We've got a couple of speakers tonight. Helen Burnett, alderman from the council, and Michael Swanson from the, where are you from, Michael? The
Newtown Rivulet Catchment Care Group Incorporated.
Thank you, Michael. Can I also acknowledge Patrick McGrath from the Council of Hobart Progress Association, and also other members of the Lenah Valley residents community. Welcome to you all. Okay, first tonight we'll hear from Helen Burnett. So we'll talk about this issue that's come up of late of the private timber reserve in Pottery Road. That's why we're all here tonight, to discuss this issue and to hear what Helen and Michael have to say and to see what your comments and thoughts are about this proposal. We've only found out about this in the last few weeks, so it'll be interesting to see what your feelings are and where this is going. So we'll begin with Helen Burnett. So Helen's got about 10 minutes to speak to us about this issue. And then we'll have Michael, and then after that we'll open it up to questions and some comments as well. So thank you, Helen.
I'm going to use this because I've got a softer voice than Bill. Hi, Lenah Valley residents. It's nice to be here. I too was a Lenah Valley resident some time ago, so appreciate this area of town, and very pleased to be here tonight. I'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners, and also acknowledge that well, my automatic colleague Bill Hardy, Alderman Rizika, Alderman Jeff Briscoe, and also to let you know that unfortunately Cassie O'Connor couldn't make it tonight. She has another engagement but would have been here otherwise. And Kartika Franks, who's a Greens candidate for the upcoming state election. I'd like to also just state right from the beginning that I'm not here as the Deputy Lord Mayor or speaking on behalf of the Council. I have raised concerns which have been publicly documented about this application because I am concerned that this may have deleterious effects on the local community and the values of the local community. So I will talk to that as we go along. So just to give you a bit of background on this private timber reserve, because I'm sure that not many people knew that this had been launched with the Forest Practices Board. But the application for a private timber reserve on 60.6 hectares at 181 Pottery Road, Lenah Valley, it was reference number 2118, was made in December 2009. This was during a period of a few meetings at Council, and it was on the 16th of December last year that the Council's General Manager lodged an objection with the Forest Practices Board on the grounds that the land is not suitable for declaration as a private timber reserve, and number two, it would not be in the public interest to grant the application. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but with private timber reserves, not everybody can object to a private timber reserve. So if you live further down the road, so if you live 100 metres or more away from a private timber reserve, you can't actually put in an application. So you have to be a, what's the word? There's a particular description. You have to be a prescribed party. So the Council can do that, and indeed that's what Council did, or the General Manager did on Council's behalf, because you're not necessarily looking for private timber reserve applications in Lenah Valley, because it is a suburb of Hobart, so it's probably not very frequent that you necessarily look in the public notices to find this out. So fortunately one of our planners did, and the reasons for the objection were and there were about 7 or 8 reasons, and I'll read those if you wouldn't mind, because I think these are at the crux of the concern of this beautiful part of Lenah Valley. So the reasons being that there's botanical species Eucalyptus globulus, which is listed as threatened under the Nature Conservation Act of 2002, and Thisnii ronwayii, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but fairy lanterns have also been recorded on the site, which are listed as rare in the Threatened Species Protection Act of 1995. Number 2, it is threatened habitat for species including the swift parrot, the 40-spotted pardalote, and the Mount Mungana stag beetle, and there is a host of threatened species recorded within 500 metres of this property, including foraging for the grey goshawk, yellow eyebright, and also find tall wallaby grass. 3, the soil is subject to sheet, tunnel and gully erosion, so it's fairly unstable land. 4, there is significant landscape value, so the local area plan of 1998 identified it as being within a critical area for landscape management, and that it was visible from the pinnacle of Mount Wellington, which consequently may have a deleterious effect or impact on tourism, depending on what the intention is for this land. Number 5 is that the boundary of this property is shared with Mount Wellington Park. And to allow for forestry operations on land adjacent to the park boundary is inconsistent with the protection of those values and is likely to attract significant community opposition. So I don't think that particularly Lenah Valley wants to be, Lenah Valley residents necessarily want to be in opposing camps to each other, but if there is genuine community concern, then these should be raised. Number 6, because there is no frontage to the public road, and vehicles involved in forest operations would need to cross neighbouring properties and travel through residential streets. And number 7, a private timber reserve would preempt the outcome of the draft City of Hobart planning scheme of 2009, and the intention for this land is for environmental management, which would actually preclude forestry operations from that. So here's a copy of the draft planning scheme, which you might be familiar with, and there are areas of Lenah Valley which are protected under that new draft planning scheme. At the moment, there is the current planning scheme is actually silent on forestry practices. So probably when in 1982 it was drafted and written, there probably wasn't much thought that there might be forestry practices for the City of Hobart. We're a city of suburbs, and it was seen to be unlikely that there would be applications for private timber reserves. So the letter of objection was lodged, and it was supported by the full council meeting in January, and the council officers were also directed to speak with the landowner in regard to his request to do some light harvesting. There was a letter that was that arrived to councillors on that day. It's not a public document, but it was a letter of objection from the landowner in relation to council's objection, which he has a right to do. And I believe that there was some discussion today in relation to that between the landowner and the council officers. So why is there concern about this particular application? Well, there is concern because when this was lodged, when you lodge an application for a private timber reserve, you don't actually have to say in that lodgement of the application what your intention is and how you might use it as a private timber reserve. So, look, this is all new to me, by the way. I'm not a forest activist. I'm a health worker usually, But this has come up, and this is pretty important to know, I think, as residents of our city.